Hi viewers, today I'm joining a conversation with Chukwuemeka Famous, a Nigerian writer and author of We Will Live Again, a novel that was recently published. It's so nice to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure. So Famous, could you tell us how you come about writing We Will Live Again? Because I really do love it when I read it. It's a touching story, very deep and quite interesting to me. So could you tell us how did you come about writing We Will Live Again?
Okay, so I began writing this book I was in my third year, and yes, my third year. I was 2016.
Wow.
So I had just gotten a call then from my dad, and he was just narrating to me the misunderstanding he had with his brother. And then it got me thinking. I began to think about divisions in families. As kids, we are tight knit, we are united, and then we begin to grow. Adulthood sets in, and before you know it, all sorts of varied opinions and ideologies begin to come in, and then separation occurs. So I thought to write something about unity, and that was how I came about the book. So it's a story about a family of four, and then it's set during and before, during and after the Civil War, the Nigerian Civil War, fought between 1967 to 1970. And so we find the father in the book, Thaddeus, a religious fanatic or extremist, as you may want to call him, and then series of events lead to the destruction of the family. So I'm moving two events in the story. I'm moving two events together as Nigeria is disintegrating via the war. The family of Thaddeus is also disintegrating as a result of religious fanaticism. So that was basically how I came about the book.
Wow, that sounds so interesting, and I want to commend you for a great job. And particularly, I do love your writing style and your storytelling techniques. I mean, before we go into that, I'd love to ask you, all the major themes that you talked about in We Will Live Again is, religion, or if not one of the major themes that the book is centered on, is about religion. Now, I'm curious, what were you trying to achieve incorporating religion as a theme in We Will Live Again?
Okay, religion, that's a very complex concept to talk about. Because sometimes when you air your views or opinions on religion, people tend to tag you with all manner of names and titles and possessions, and I've been told I'm under demonic oppression because I was trying to express my views on religion. But then this is what I think about religion. Religion is, for me, is a man-made concept. All right, and man understands that we must have to reckon with the supernatural.
Absolutely.
All right. So, but then there has to be means to do that. In the olden days, like where I come from, Igbo land, we had the worship of ancestors or ancestral spirits. We worshipped God through the spirits of our ancestors. We asked our ancestors to guide us and protect us in everything. But then we also believed that there exists a God, Chi or Chukwu, all right? As there are other names for it. So, and then Christianity came in, another man-made religion, right, forged elsewhere, and then it was imported into the continent. And if you go back down history lane, you would see that the coming of Christianity caused a lot of division. I mean, if you read Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, you'll see how it caused a lot of division, even between Okonkwo and his son, Woye, especially when Woye decided to follow the Christian missionaries. There was a rift. So, looking at all of this, I began to conclude that I think religion, for me, after thorough analysis, I concluded that religion divides more than it unites. Because I was I wanted to write a book about unity, or how the unity of a family was destroyed, right?
Yeah.
So I decided to, okay, let the cause of this destruction be religion, religious fanaticism. So that was how I brought in religion into this context.
So basically, most of the issues we have currently is religion set up, religion oriented.
Well,
Are you trying to say?
no,
Is that
not
what you're trying to
no,
preach?
no, no, not entirely. Religion has its advantages.
Yeah.
All right, it has its advantages. I read a certain story, non-fiction, story of someone, an atheist. So he became sick and he was taken to the hospital, and the doctors looked at him, and the what they told him was, get yourself a god. Do you understand?
Wow. Yeah.
So religion, of course, it helps you to connect with the supernatural.
Yeah.
That is, I give it that. But then the problem with religion is the abuse of it by the same humans who
Practice it.
practice it. Like we see in the story, Thaddeus is a clergyman, a priest.
Yeah.
So one would expect, okay, a priest should do what is right and all.
Yeah.
But he lives a very bad life, or lives an extreme life, and then covers it up under the umbrella of religion, tells you, even quotes the Bible as an excuse to his misgivings. All right. So the abuse has caused a lot of damage in society. And so religion is good. It has its good parts. But then an abuse, and it's just what you get in any other aspect of or facet of life.
Yeah.
When you abuse even government, politics, like it is done in Nigeria, politics, education, whatever, once it has been abused, it becomes toxic.
Yeah. Well, that's quite interesting. I do love your take on religion. I particularly love the way you were able to incorporate it together with the story of Thaddeus and his two sons. Really made for an interesting discussion. Now, I would also love to ask you another theme that you seek to talk about in We Will Live Again was disintegration and family unity, as it's been seen between the two brothers, where as they begin to grow or advance in age. I don't know if it's about the adulthood impact, or people are very close together when they're very young, together in the same household as brothers and sisters. But as they begin to get older, begin to maybe I'm not sure if I put it as a take of responsibility, or you getting married and you have a lot of responsibility to deal with. But yeah, one of the things you mentioned in the book was you talked in your novel was about family unity and things like that. So I'm quite curious, what are you trying to achieve with incorporating family and unity in We Live Again as a story on itself?
This aspect of the story, like I mentioned before, was born out of curiosity. After I had gotten that call from my dad, where he was narrating to me the issue between his younger brother and himself, and ever since growing up as a child, I've never known these two to be in agreement of anything. All right, so it's been that terrible. So you have a situation where, I'm listening to stories from my dad about how they did things together as children. They played together. The father is a certain story my dad told me that when I think of it and think of what they have become now, I'm almost moved to tears. All right, or how someone bullied their youngest brother, my late uncle now, and then the two of them went to fight the person that bullied their brother. So that painted the picture of how united and how caring they were amongst themselves as kids. And now they grew up, they are grown men now, and then things are falling apart, and they're not talking to each other again. All of a sudden they are strangers, they don't talk to each other for years now. It's been like that for years. So I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, what exactly is it about adulthood? Because it's not just the case with my family. Absolutely. I'm sure if you go to several families, it's obtainable. So I'm wondering, like, what exactly is it about adulthood that split siblings, that scatters them. Quite all right, it's normal to have siblings scattered in different parts of the countries, of the world and all that. But then, I mean, scattered even in their minds, disunited, dismembered from each other. And you find a situation where a brother can stay for 2, 3, 4, 5 years and he hasn't talked to his other brother or his other sister. So I'm looking at all of this, and I decided to write down something. And well, I'm hopeful, just like War is who narrated the story. Well, maybe at the end of the day we'll just live again. Alright. So that was where the title was drawn from.
That's actually a very great theme to talk about, and I can relate to it that all those things you mentioned, it's something that is very predominant in our society today. Not only with the story of the protagonist and the other people, but it's something we can see in the environment, even Nigeria itself, among family members. Yeah, also Famous. I cannot talk about We Live Again without mentioning your impressive writing style, which I find to be so captivating and very compelling. And there's a way I love to describe it. It's a bit poetic. I'm not sure if you got that from your feature of being a poet, and it's very lovely, I would say. So I'm kind of curious to know if how you come about developing all of this writing style. Do you have a particular author that I would say you learned from, or how did you come up entirely with this poetic writing style of yours?
Well, I used to write poetry, bad poetry. I will limit it because I never had the chance to develop it. Fiction, prose took me away along the line. But I started out with writing poems. I remember then I used to go to, when I was a student in Unibe, and I go for 9 classes to read. And then after reading my scientific textbooks for a while, I just get bored and I begin to write poems. Alright, so but then I was drawn more to writing prose. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe it was as a result of my early start with poetry. Alright. And I must confess something on air. I really do not read a lot of poetry, a lot of poems, and I read, but I'm not really keen. I don't really follow up poetry as much as I read prose. Yes, so but then my greatest influence in writing prose is Achebe, Achebe. I admire Achebe for his power through simplicity. It was through Achebe that I learned you can just write a simple book. Things Fall Apart is a simple book. How many pages? It's not up to 200 pages, but very simple, powerful.
Absolutely.
Powerful, packed with a lot of themes that could create very, very lengthy discourse.
Absolutely.
And all, so that was, if there was anything I took from Achebe, that was it. I don't need to write voluminous books like Shoyinka did. I don't need to write books like that to make an impact. A simple and straight to the point. Just deliver your message. Simple, powerful, but simplicity. Simplicity. I believe there is power in simplicity.
Absolutely.
So Achebe influenced that about me. And then Chimamanda, I learned characterization from Chimamanda, Purple Hibiscus. Her characterization in the book is powerful. I mean, how she moves her characters along as the story moves. You will actually see the characters progressing. You would actually see their lives moving. They are living. You would see them living. So that was what I learned from. So these two are my greatest influences. There are others. Recently, Chigozie Obioma, who wrote an orchestra of minorities and the fishermen. Yes, recently I've been wishing to write like him.
It's so amazing, really, how we can learn from authors and writers that come before us to develop an amazing style. And I forgot to talk about your characterization, which you said you derived a good number of it from Chimamanda's Purple Hibiscus, which is quite nice to know. Now, one of the other themes that you talked in your book, Famous, was about the Biafran War. All of the stories set during the Biafran War, which to me kind of add more features to its literary qualities and taste. Now, I'd love to ask you, how does that relate? How does the Biafran War theme talked about and We Will Live Again? How does it relate with your character and what was it all about?
I read a certain book. It is a text on creative writing. That is elements. I think elements of creative writing. So they talked about poetry, short story form, and then novel writing. So I learned a lot of tips from them. And one of the tips I learned was something, an event, an occurrence, a happening must motivate your characters to do certain things. We as humans, I won't know if you're able to kill until we both find you in the situation to kill. Then I will know whatever you do, you'll be able to tell me if, oh wow, you can kill or you cannot kill.
Absolutely.
So there must be an event that will push you to do that. And then if it pushes you to do that and you don't do it, then we can say for sure that okay, he doesn't kill, or he doesn't know how to kill. All right. So that was what the war. I decided to use the war to, during the war, it was common to find people running back to their villages from the city, from places like Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano, Easterners running back to the east, their villages to seek refuge, So I wanted to use the war to push this religious fanatic, Thaddeus, and his family back to the village where those days it was very common not to find Christianity there. These were places that were still, no matter how much Christianity tried to spread, it didn't get to these places. It didn't get to the interior villages.
Absolutely.
They were still engrossed in the worship of their deities, traditional worship and all. So I wanted to use the war to push Thaddeus back. And then when he went back, I wanted to observe, okay, now that you as the most holy person in the whole world, now that you have gone back here, now let's see what happens. And then a very fascinating incident occurred in the book where some Nigerian and Biafran soldiers forced him to kill a captured Nigerian soldier.
I read about that.
So he was forced to kill, and then that destroyed his belief as a Christian because he felt that such sin could not be forgiven. So he was that extreme to believe that if you commit a sin as killing, you wouldn't be forgiven. Not minding that he had committed previous sins like beating up his wife, using vulgar names and all on her, And then also another reason why I brought in the war was I was teaching in a school one certain time, and so I walked into the class and asked them a question about the war, and none of them could give me an answer. So it was really heartbreaking.
Wow.
I was like, what are parents doing? I know the war is gone, it's past, but I mean, this is a very vital part of our history as a nation. Every child should have knowledge of at least basic details of the war.
Back then in Biafra.
Exactly. This is whatever the scars from the war, we still feel them.
Absolutely.
Till tomorrow. All right. So that was another reason why I brought it in, and I also wanted to use it to emphasize more on the theme of unity that I was also dragging along. So while the family was destroying, Nigeria as a country too, via the war, was also getting destroyed and disintegrating and destroyed.
And the fact that it's even written in a first-person point of view, I think add more interesting feature to it. Well, I like the fact that you mentioned the theme of war and what you said about it. It's something that we need to tell our children just so we can stay up the historical preservation and conservation of our history from one generation to another. Just so it doesn't end, because it's just so horrible how even students, secondary school students, don't even know much about Nigerian histories. It just it's so bad, and I love the fact that you mentioned that in the book. Now, Famous, before we call it a day, is there anything that you love to talk to the viewers, let the viewers know about what we live again that we did not mention in this interview, and you'd love the viewers to know?
Viewers, this is my debut novel. We Live Again, and it was published by Griots Lounge Nigeria in June 2023. It's available. You could place an order from Griots Lounge. You could find them on Facebook and Instagram. And then the book is also available on Konga, so you can order online if you're in Nigeria on Konga. I think 7 days or so, and it gets to you. And then for those outside the country, Amazon, it's available on Amazon, and you can get it there. I'm a writer, and writing books it requires passion.
Absolutely.
So, but then it's also lovely to see people, interact with what you've written.
Yeah.
And create conversations around it. So I want to urge everyone to get a copy of the book and read and write reviews, drop your feedbacks, and let's move literature forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great. And I'm curious to know if you have any other works you're currently working on. Do you?
Yes, I have a second novel that I'm working on, but I'm really working on it very slowly.
Okay.
Sometimes I set the deadline, but then at some point I ask myself, what's the point of giving myself deadlines? Let me just let this thing flow naturally, So yeah. Then I have a collection of short stories, which I'm still rewriting. I'm still rewriting it and all. So for now, these are just the 2 works I have, amongst other freelance writings that are there. But then these are 2 major works. I'm dealing with at the moment now.
That's so nice and very lovely to know. And I want to say thank you so much for coming up on the show to have a conversation about We Live Again. And like Famous said, We Live Again is currently available on Amazon for purchase. And for whoever would love to get a copy, you can reach out with link attached in the description part of this interview. Yeah, so it was so nice meeting you today, Famous. Being my first time, I'm so excited.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I wish you and the viewers very well.